Here, let me videotape this. This is real good stuff. Listen.
Only about 10% of like actual business can be learned through like knowledge or listening to videos and audios, but then like 90% has to be learned through experience. I would say for sure 25 and 75. I mean, that's being really lenient. Maybe 25%. So Bill Hybels says like 10% can be learned through knowledge, about 20% can be learned through feedback. So hey, you saw me in the presentation, you saw me doing it live, or maybe get somebody that's more experienced to go with you and listen to what you're doing, and then say, hey, look, here's some feedback. Yeah. Here's what you need to change up. So maybe 15 or 20% can be learned through feedback, but like nothing ever replaces experience.
Mm-hmm. Well, something Bob Conklin said in this audio recording, Make No Little Plans, he said there was this insurance guy, because he used to be in insurance, I think, real estate, things like that, before he got into sales training. So he must have been pretty good if he got into sales training. But he said this real estate guy outperformed everybody else in the company. I mean, the second guy, like the number 2 spot, wasn't even close to him, to number 1 in sales. And so they brought out all the scientists, all the people. They studied him. They tracked him day after day after day, try to figure out what he eats, how he sleeps, how long he sleeps, how long he's awake, all this stuff. And finally, it all boiled down to he just went out and did 3 times more than all the other guys. He just did a lot more of it, so he got more experience. And you were talking about that too. Sometimes guys bid jobs, 15, 20 jobs. They're like, why am I not getting any of these closed? Why can't I close any of these? And sometimes it boils down to just do more of it. Get out and do, instead of having 15 jobs that you bid 100.
Yep. Everybody wants to know the secret. Like, I can't tell you how often people have called me and said, what's like the one thing that like the one thing? What's the one thing? What's the secret? What's the one thing? Like, there is no one thing. Okay, there is no secret to the madness. It's just simple. It's like, do more. And the more you do, like, the better you get at it. And yeah, absolutely. We make these videos and we try to bring some knowledge and some of the things that we've learned for you guys to implement. I think that's important. Yeah, baby. Good old Tim Hortons. It ain't quite Starbucks, but it's not.
If there is one secret, get energized. Drink coffee or something, get energy.
But like, nothing replaces
get out there.
Actual experience. Nothing replaces bidding 100 projects and getting kicked in the teeth 80 times. But you know what? When that one guy signs that 50,000 square foot roof, you think you just won the lottery.
Yeah, it's all worth it.
And then it starts building confidence. Like, nothing replaces experience. And people want to know the secret. And the secret is, like, you got to get up. You got to be motivated. You don't sleep in. This time of the year, man, you don't sleep in. If you're a roofer, you sleep in December, January, and February. That's what you do.
Yeah.
If you're a roofer, like, you got to get off the couch. I know this sounds, stupid, but you don't sit up and watch movies till midnight and sleep until 9 o'clock.
Right on.
That's the successful versus unsuccessful. Is some of those things are just so fundamental. Mm-hmm. Like, you have to you got to get to bed by 9:30 at night.
Yeah. You mentioned movies. The other day, I found this study. They say watching 3 minutes, just 3 minutes of news in the morning reduces your productivity by up to 27%.
Oh, I believe it.
During the day, and it lasts for 7-8 hours. So watching 3 minutes of constantly negative news or some other news in the morning, that basically shuts down your productivity, your creativity all day long. Up to 27% loss. So, get off of some of that negative stuff.
Absolutely. You control your attitude. Like, you control your activity and your attitudes. And activity and attitudes is like, that's a choice. People say, well, I just don't really feel like it. Well, most of the times, like, I don't feel like getting up. Yesterday afternoon, after I got home from church, I didn't feel like going out and running 4 miles. Mm-hmm. I felt like going to bed and sleeping. I felt like taking a Sunday afternoon nap, you know, and that's what I wanted to do, especially when your wife's as pretty as mine and she's going to take a nap, you know.
Yeah.
I put my running shoes on and I went out and pounded 4 miles out. It only took an hour, you know. I drive 5 minutes down the road, park my truck, and I get out and I ran for 45 minutes and I was back in my truck. And you know what, like I felt super energized when I got back.
Yep. Yeah.
But it's a choice you have to make to like move.
Nothing replaces experience, you know. Phone calls the same way. You know, I know sometimes, especially when you're getting into a business, starting your own business, or let's say you're wanting to sponsor a couple contractors, help them change their lives. Getting started is hard, and sometimes you're afraid to run that ad because what are you going to say when people call?
Yep.
But I know for myself, you know, running different businesses, and some of them mail order, phone business, and then working with contractors, you just run the ad, get that number out there, and then figure it out. It took me, when the first contractors called about this Conklin business, it took me 3 to 4 phone calls before I figured out what I actually needed to say.
Yep.
You know, the first 2-3 phone calls, I wasn't sure, you know, you kind of roll with it, but you kind of figure out after 2, 3, 4 phone calls, you figure out what you need to say and not say, you know, and how to bring value to people.
Yep.
So
you got to make it about them.
Right on.
You got to make it about them. This ain't about you. You know, if you think you're going to run an ad, build a business for you, you're never going to make it. You know, but if you're actually like truly genuinely care about other people and helping them be successful, like the key to massive success is help. The more people you help become successful, the more successful you become.
Right.
You know, and you know, I know that, hey, we have a great business, but if I'm going to go to the next level, then I have to help more people become successful.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Zig Ziglar said that many times, you know, just go out and help more people.
Yep. You know, so, you know, back to the running subject, the key to, like, emotion is motion. The key to emotion is motion. And so, like, Sundays are my laziest days. I mean, we get up in the morning, take the family, we go to church. Like, there's not a lot of motion going on, you know, where, you know, normally, like, you know, Monday morning I might get up and get in my truck and go meet a contractor or get up on some roofs or, you know, do some things like you're actually, you know, doing motion, or you're actually doing something. And so I got home yesterday afternoon and like I just didn't really feel like doing anything. You just feel like taking a nap. But the key to emotion, and if you're going to be effective in your business, you have to have emotion.
So motion is the key to emotion.
Yeah.
Why do we need emotion?
Like emotion replaces, emotion is why people do things with you. So like in communication, like actual words are less than 10% of communication. And like emotion has way more to do with communication than actual words. Like what you say is important, but how you say it is like 90 times more important. And so, you know, that's why you have people that and that's one of the reasons I say 10% can be learned, because you can't replace the energy you feel in my voice right now. Like you can't replace that.
Yeah.
But if I sit here and I'm like, you know, emotion's the key to, like, you know, you gotta have motion.
I say, speak up, speak up.
You're like, speak up. But so that's why one person says the same thing another person says, but the other person gets the guy. Or the one person says the same thing and the other person says the exact thing, and you're bidding the same system, and the one guy's even more money, but he got the contract.
Yeah.
So, like, there's gotta be emotion. If there's not emotion, then you're gonna be really, really frustrated, because it's not just about saying the right words, but it's having the energy. Right. You know, key to success, number one thing, if you're building a team, the number one thing is when a guy calls you, he hangs up the phone, like the number one thing you have to know is when he hangs that phone up, that he has more energy than when you said hello.
Right. Yeah.
And how you say hello often is how that conversation is going to start. So if a guy's going to call me, I'm going to be like, sometimes I don't feel like doing this. And I'll pick up the phone and I'll be like, hey buddy, how you doing? And just me doing that like creates emotion in me that actually does more for me than it does for the guy on the phone. but it gets that energy going. And so if you're going to build a team, like, you have to have emotion, good emotion, positive emotion, like energy, you know, not fake. It's got to be real. And when you start living like that, like, your life becomes more habitual and more habitual. You know, I watch a guy like Doug Fireball, and I'm around him, and he gives me a lot of energy. And he'll call me sometimes, or I'll call him, and and when I get off the phone, like, I have energy. You know, but I know that he didn't become that kind of a person. Like, that's just his personality. You know, I hear people say, "Oh, it's just my personality to be negative." No, it's not. It's your habitual. Right. It's how you've become like that because you're around the wrong people. Maybe you are the wrong person for people to be around. Like, these are things you have to work on. And if you're around people that constantly, like, drain your negativity, they constantly speak, like, you know, they don't speak life in your life. They say, "Oh, you can't," or "It's so hard," or all they want to do is talk about drama, you know. You know, and they watch the news and they talk about how bad the world is. And let me tell you something: there's never been an era of time that has as much, like, possibilities as we have today.
And good things happen.
There's never been an era of time. But if you want to look for negativity, you'll find it. So know that if you're like, "Well, I don't hang around with the wrong people," maybe you are the wrong person. Because if there's not people in your life like this that you can say, "You know what? There's some of these people I got to cut some time with." Right on. Unfortunately, some will be family. The right words are important, but how you say them is even more important. How persuaded you are by them is more important. Like, for instance, in Conklin, if you're not 100% sold out on Conklin, I can guarantee you'll never build a big team. Ever, ever, ever. Like, you'll work till you're dead. Guaranteed. Ever. Like, if you're not sold 100% on what you're doing, you'll never sell 100%. But if you're, like, sold 1,000%, you know, in the world of acrylics, there's nobody that's got a product like Conklin. In the world of agriculture, there's nobody that's got a product like Conklin. If you do our roofing systems correctly, you take the time, you know what? You got a roofing system that'll blow anybody else's roofing system out of the water. We've been there, we've done that. I mean, building owners after building owners after building owners have told us, and they've used, you know, they've used TPOs, they've used membranes, they've used silicones, they've used everything in the book. I've seen it all, and they consistently come back and they say, "You know what? Your roofing system, we did it 5 years ago. We had a Conklin roof 15 years ago. We've done less maintenance on that roof than we've done on any of our other roofs, and we just want your system." And so, you know, I'm persuaded, and so guess what? I sell it very effectively because, like, I'm so sold on it, and that's what you got to do. But I'm sold on it enough, like, it creates emotion in me. So
motion. The key to emotion. Get in motion. Have a great week.
Appreciate you guys. Have an awesome week. All right.